Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing one look. I guess I only have time for one look with the Gourmande Girls Ethereal palette. I want to do many looks with this, of course, but I thought for a change, why not just do one look on camera, just the eyes, just a little quick video with some swatches, some first impression thoughts. And yeah, I thought that could be great fun. So this is what the palette looks like. I was very intrigued by this whitish shade and this yellow shade, but there is a little twist there whenever you see the swatches. But look at this color story, isn't it super interesting? And I thought these shades looked really sparkly and dimensional, and there are some duochromes in here as well. I'm not sure if they're full-on multichromes, but duochromes for sure. So I did swatch the palette already, so this is what the swatches look like. I mean, that's pretty stunning, right? I feel like there's a lot of shift in this one, which is actually that yellow shade. And in the camera, it does look yellow. For me, when I look at it like this, it just looks pink. So I feel like that's an actual multichrome. But there are more of them. I feel like this one has a pretty distinct brown purple shift. This one is also really pretty. It actually on camera looks a little bit gold orange, but for me it just looks purple. So yeah, this is definitely a very interesting color story with very interesting shades. I like the fact that they're ranging from very dark to very light. Yeah, and I feel like the price point is pretty good for how intense these shades are. The only shade that I swatched twice was this top one, which did not really have a lot of effect. I do like the shade, but the other ones were just so buttery and they swatched really intensely and almost a little bit like a cream on first swipe. So I was really impressed. So without any further ado, let's hop into the eye look. Subscribe if you like indie makeup, any type of makeup. That's everything you get on my channel, and a little bit of lifestyle. So yeah, subscribe if that sounds interesting to you, and let's get into it. Let me scooch in just a little bit closer. So I have, this is really silly because I'm actually not at home. I'm at my parents' house and I brought so much makeup. It's ridiculous. I'm only here for a week, but you know, gotta make sure I can make content and stuff. So I selected these palettes out of the things that I brought so we can use some pretty mattes. Because I do want to use some mattes for this look. So what do I want to use? I kind of really want to use this shade. It's so weird because when I look at it like this, and you can see it a little bit in the camera, it just looks orange, but then on camera it looks way more pink. Maybe the bottom one. That's also, they're pretty much all shifty. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that orangey one. I feel like that'll be a nice contrast with my shirt. And then maybe I'll put the blue on the lower lash line. Something like that. So in order to make this look cohesive enough with the orange and the blue, I'm going to reach for my mattes from the La Cienega palette from Adept Cosmetics. It has a very nice selection of brownish and reddish matte shades. So I think I'm going to go for that one. I'm going to start off with this shade over here, which is called the 405, with the smaller blending brush. I think I'm going to do a halo eye. I don't do those very often. And this is a very nice, deep brownish red. Halo eyes are usually not like the most flattering on my eye shape. But I think it's fun to change it up a little bit every now and then. And I love these Adept mattes. That's the main reason I wanted this palette, because I thought I would use these mattes all the time, and I do. You know what? I'm sorry, I changed my mind. I think I really like the idea of my whole lid being that multichrome shade and then having the blue pop on the bottom lash line. I feel like that's different enough. So I'm just going to do more of a classic eye. I want to create a look that makes me feel pretty. So I'm also putting this on the outer corner of the lower lash line, but I think it's going to be covered up by another shade, but just for a little base. Okay, that spread out a little bit more than I wanted. So now I'm taking a clean blender brush and I'm going into Wilshire, which is this one over here. A creamy shade, just to blend out the edges. And this shade is not quite light enough for me to be a highlight, but it is a nice blending shade. You can see it is actually, well, I don't know if you can see, but it's a little bit more pinky than my actual skin tone. So now I'm taking a smaller pencil brush and I'm going into Baldwin Hills, which is the warmer of the two deep browns. I'm going to deepen up that outer corner. And I'm also deepening up the outer corner of the lower lash line and connecting the two. Going back with that middle brush, the first one I used. Blend everything. Alright, I think that's all I'm going to do with this palette. Really nice. I guess I just really love this neutral dramatic crease from time to time. I think it's so interesting because whenever I looked at this palette for the first time, I think the shade that I was least interested in was this one, Emerge. But seeing them swatched out on my arm, it just looks so fiery and orange, much more than what I thought was the orange shade, this one, which is in fact a lot more pink. So I'm just going to stay put with what I decided to do and go in with Emerge. Put that all over my lid. Okay, this is stunning. I was a little bit worried when I swatched them that they weren't as sparkly as I thought they were going to be. You know, intense, creamy, everything I said, but just not as sparkly. But I feel like this shade on my eyes, it does look sparkly. I'm trying to, you know, spread out the product nicely, make sure it's blended, but I'm trying not to go over all of the mattes. That's really stunning. I guess I do think it looks a little bit more gold, but it is a pretty gold. I do like it. For the inner corner, I guess I do want to do this lighter shade, which is called Pure, which is this one, which is the only one that doesn't feel quite as creamy. It feels a little bit more dry. But it looks really shiny. And I'm happy with any kind of pretty shimmer that I can also put in the inner corner, because honestly, apart from single shadows, you don't find them too often. Not for someone as pale as I am. So I feel like the shade is white with a green shift, which honestly is one of the more common iridescent shades. I think I own two in my relatively small single shadow collection, but it does look pretty nice with that gold. Then I'm just cleaning up the brush and I'm using the same brush. And now I'm wondering if it wouldn't be prettier to use that lighter blue over here. I think I'm going to do that. It's called Nova, and I think it's a flip from turquoise to azure blue. Oh, but there is some purpley pink in there as well. I like the way it looks a little bit more purple on top of that brown. Yes, I like that. I really do. It's quite simple this way, but I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to change my face and my hair and make myself look pretty, and then I'll see you in a second. I'm back. This is my finished look. I do like it. It's not exactly what I envisioned, but I do really like it. I think it's just that I use some products on my face, on my cheeks and stuff that I don't usually use, and they turned out a little bit differently than what I am used to. I used the Dior bronzer from a couple of years ago that's really red toned, while I actually wanted something a little bit more bronzy, so that was a mistake. I have this lipstick, Adrienne by Chanel, which was my favorite for a long time, which is still really pretty, but I have been wearing a lot of lip liners with gloss lately, so it's a different kind of look, but I'm not mad at it. What I really liked, I intensified that inner corner and put it a little bit on top of those two other shades. And I do love the way that looks. And if you're wondering what highlight I am wearing, it's the yellow one from the Noctilucent palette, which I guess it is nice to finally have a yellow highlight, but it is a little bit chunky. So you really have to work it into your skin. So when I first apply it, I'm like, my whole cheek is yellow, but then I buff it in and then it sort of looks like this and it looks kind of nice. Anyway, enough about the makeup look that I'm wearing. Let's talk about the palette for a second. So I do think it's really pretty. It's not my favorite all shimmer palette, just because I feel like it's not a very cohesive one. Sure, I can mix and match 2, max 3 shades together, but really only 2. And even though I never use all the shades in an all shimmer palette, I do like it when there's a little bit more of cohesion. For instance, I think you've all seen this coming, but one of my favorite ones recently has been the Seahorse palette by Adept Cosmetics. I don't have it right here. I'll pop up a little picture. You see what I mean? Those are all cohesive shades. I could put 10 of them on my lid and it wouldn't clash. And then there's also the added benefit that I'm really into pastels at the moment, and that pastels fit me really well because I am quite fair. However, it was kind of fun to play with something a little bit more bright for a change, something a little bit more contrasting, so there is some fun in that as well. Of course, the shades themselves are really pretty. They're not the most sparkly, although I was surprised by how sparkly they actually were, but they're not the most sparkly, but they're nice and intense. And I do think it's a very lid friendly formula because it's so almost buttery. So if you like that type of formula, that really creamy, almost not a powder type of powder, then you would love this. But just know that it's a little bit of a mishmash of colors in my opinion, but the quality is great. So yeah, that was my look with this palette, my quick first impressions review, the beautiful swatches. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.